Well, all the pretties and handsomes, ladies and gentlemen, for the last 1 month, I have received a lot of questions and doubts from people around me asking me what is exactly the Bitcoin halving process and what's going to happen after the Bitcoin halving process. Well, we all know that the halving process of Bitcoin has occurred on the 11th of May, year 2020. All right, and in this podcast, we're going to tell you exactly how this halving process might affect you. So, is it a good time to increase your Bitcoin portfolio, or is it a good time for you to start unloading some Bitcoin for your benefit? Stay tuned with us and don't walk away. We'll come back shortly. Welcome back to the DW world, and today we're going to talk about Bitcoin, nothing else but the Bitcoin. Right, today there'll be 3 parts. Number 1 is on the origin of Bitcoin, especially how it came about, and the second part we're going to talk on Bitcoin halving process and how this could affect your wealth portfolio. Then the final part, we're going to touch on the price forecast of Bitcoins starting from now into the next 12 to 18 months. All right. First of all, we all know that Bitcoin was created in the year 2008 by a very mysterious and unknown identity by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. And on the following year, that was 2009, the source code of Bitcoin was released to the public, and there were many people or even companies that bought a lot of computer system and started a mining process using this source code. But of course, the reward of mining such a source code is to get free Bitcoins. All right, so Bitcoin is a great reward and gift for those people who have been mining since then. Then subsequently over the years, of course, we have come across many press, media, reporters, private investigators, or even government agencies who have been trying very hard to find out and to dig out the identity and who is the real identity behind the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. Having said that, all right, until now, this is the year 2020 and no one has been successful, and this personality has still been remained as a mystery. Well, the year when Bitcoin really started into a real-world transaction for the business was sometime in May year 2010. All right, at that time, Bitcoin was being accepted by Papa John Pizza Hut, right down in California, USA. And Papa John accepted 10,000 Bitcoins for making a delivery of 2 pizzas. Can you imagine that? 10,000 Bitcoins. Well, of course, if we are making a comparison, which was 3 years later into the year 2013, this 10,000 Bitcoins had actually converted into a market value of 750,000 US dollars. But of course, if you want to put it now in the year 2020, 10,000 Bitcoins is really hell a lot of money. All right, so who are the merchants today that agree or have been accepting Bitcoin as a payment term for delivering the services and products? All right, these are the names. Number 1, Wikipedia. All right, Wikipedia, and followed by Microsoft, a big household name as you and me know. Then we have the Expedia online tour agent, all right, who are also a big fan of Bitcoin. Then we have AT&T, the prominent US mobile carrier company. And next, stay tuned and don't be surprised, Burger King in Germany. Yes. Then followed by the KFC in Canada, and not forgetting the Subway sandwiches in US. However, I have to remind all of you, don't ever try this in Singapore, because by being Bitcoin in Singapore, you will never get even a piece of French fries, and I can guarantee you that. All right, then after all these big names have been mentioned, we have other names like Virgin Galactic, all right, that the Virginia company also accept Bitcoin as a form of down payment by arranging a so-called vacation into the space program. And we have Norwegian Air, and of course, Playboy magazine. All right, Playboy magazine also receives and accepts Bitcoin as a form of payment for the subscription. And of course, there are many other names down the list which we are not going to mention. All right, and just to give you a rough idea on what Bitcoin can do. And not forgetting today, Bitcoin is also trading as a futures contract listed in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange under the CME group. Well, when we look back sometime in 2014, all right, we have also seen the Chinese government, all right, who has put a ban and formally classified Bitcoin as an illegal commodity. Hence, Bitcoin is not allowed to be promoted or to be transacted onshore China from 2014 all the way until now. Well, the next part of this podcast, we're going to go into the definitions of Bitcoin halving, what it is and what it can do for you. Don't go away. Well, since 2009, when the source code of Bitcoin was released to the public, many miners, individuals, companies have set up a lot of multiple computer systems at home or in the office to mine this Bitcoin as a reward for the activity. Well, it is believed that when Satoshi Nakamoto first created this blockchain program, there is only a total of 21 million Bitcoins being earthed in the system. All right, it is believed that until today, there are somewhat a total of 19 million plus Bitcoins that have been mined, all right, with a remaining of 1/million Bitcoins, which is still being unraveled. Well, when Satoshi first written this program, he has been very intelligent that plant a program into the blockchain by stating that every 4 years, the output of the same mining activity will be cut down by 50%, which is what exactly we call the halving process. For example, in 2009, every one block in the chain of the mining activity will give you 50 Bitcoins upon successful mining. After it was halved in 2012, this output of 50 Bitcoins will only pay out 25 Bitcoins, which was half of what previously the miners got it. In the year 2016, on the second halving process, all right, this output was further reduced from 25 down to 12.5 Bitcoin in every block of the mine. So this year, in the year 2020, 11 May, where the third halving process took place, every miner, through the same activity that they have planted in the system, they could only get 6.25 Bitcoin out of every block in the mine. I shall show you a comparison from another angle. We all know that gold is a scarcity in our planet. And what will happen if gold is getting lesser and lesser, more scarce, and all the gold miner knows that in every 4 years, the output of gold from underneath the earth will reduce by 50%. As we go on like this, definitely gold prices will start to shoot up as the supply on the global market is going to reduce by every 50% on a 4-year basis. So likewise, Bitcoin prices had made a big jump after the first halving process in 2012. Then the second halving process that took place in 2016, there was another big jump in Bitcoin prices. So this is the third time that we are seeing in the year 2020. What is going to happen in Bitcoin halving, and how far can we go, and how long over the coming months that we expect to see these Bitcoin prices climbing up. All right, this is exactly the next part that we're going to show you on the chart and let you know what we should be expecting over coming months. Well, if you look at the Bitcoin chart on the screen now, okay, what you see on the x-axis is actually the timeline starting from 2010 all the way up to 2024. And on the timeline itself, you could see that it went through the first halving that was in November 2012, all right, which are represented by a vertical red line. Then the second halving took place in July 2016, which is the second red vertical line that you see in the center. And the third halving is actually currently what we just went through on the 11th May year 2020. Then on the other hand, the y-axis on the left-hand side, all right, the vertical upline is actually the price scale of the Bitcoin in US dollars. Well, if you look carefully again, what I want you to do now is observe on the first red vertical line on the left. As I mentioned earlier, that was the exact first halving that occurred in November 2012. And if you notice, after the halving, the Bitcoin prices immediately started to climb, and it took about 13 months to reach the top of 1,200 US dollars per unit. And that was in December 2013. And from that top, the market actually came off until January 2015. All right, that's about 13 months. All right, 13 months again. And the depreciation is almost like 90%. 90%. Then the market moved into the second halving, which occurred in July 2016. And that's exactly the central vertical red line that you are looking at now. So after the second halving, what you observe is the Bitcoin prices shot up again. All right, shot up almost from the price of close to $1,000, about $800 to $1,000 at that time. And it went all the way up to 19,800 US dollars. All right, shortly about 17 months. All right, 17 months. And from December 2017, right from the top, 19,800, the Bitcoin prices started to correct again, and it came off all the way over 1 year to 3,280 US dollars sometime in December 2018. Well, today we have just gone through the third halving, and that was on the 11th May year 2020. And what are we going to foresee, and where do we foresee that the Bitcoin prices will be going up from here? And how many months will it actually take to reach that top that we just mentioned? And from the top, how long will the market take to make another correction? This is exactly where we are coming to the final part of today's podcast. And I want all of you, stay back, watch us carefully, stay with us, and very quickly, on this last part of the podcast, we're going to tell you exactly all those answers that we just projected to you earlier. Stay tuned. Well, after you have gone through the Bitcoin chart with us earlier, well, we are talking about after the first halving in 2012, the Bitcoin prices went up to the first top of US dollars per unit. And after the second halving took place in 2016, the Bitcoin prices went up to the second top of 19,800 US dollars. So if you compare the first and second top, it is about 27 times of appreciation. So now as we go into the third halving, are we going to expect another 27 times, which is very ridiculous? And we are talking about $19,800 times 27, which is going to be $500,000. And this is exactly why there are many people who predicted that Bitcoin prices would reach a top of 300,000 US dollars, 400,000 US dollars, or even 500,000 US dollars for the past 1 year. Well, personally, I would think that for Bitcoin to reach a top of 100,000 US dollars anyway, okay, within the next 2 years, is highly possible. So, not forgetting, for the last two halving, we have seen that every time when Bitcoin prices hit the top, there's always a very big devaluation, which the first halving, the top came off about 80%, all right? And the second halving from the top of $19,800, it came down also about close to 80% or around that. So this is what we call a boom-bust cycle. Now, the finale is, for this third halving that had just happened, if you want to know how far the prices can go up to and how long it will take, this is exactly when we are putting a consensus on price versus time. These are the two parameters that we have to be very clear on grabbing it. All right, first of all, when we talk about price, we are not going to expect 300,000, 400,000, or even $500,000 US, although I always say that in the market, nothing is impossible. But however, I would think I'm happy enough to see Bitcoin prices hitting anywhere of 100,000 US. Although we have to put a disclaimer on that, all right? Listen up, that's a disclaimer, all right? It's a prediction. Then on the other hand, while we want to grab on the time parameter, all right? As we showed you the chart earlier, we have seen from the first halving and second halving, the top always will take anywhere from 12 to 14 months in this range to reach the next higher top. So that means from May now, after the third halving, we are expecting anywhere sometime mid-2021 or the third quarter of 2021, which is going to be next year. We expect to see a top in Bitcoin prices. So when we put our expectation on prices versus time, all right, that will comfortably give us an expectation of looking at 100,000 US dollars for Bitcoin prices, which is going to be attained sometime before September 2021. So whichever comes first, all right, either the Bitcoin prices reach 100,000 US dollars, or if it doesn't, coming anywhere to middle to third quarter of 2021, I think all of us should plan the exit of your Bitcoin portfolio before the boom-bust cycle starts again. And one more thing before I close today's podcast. Satoshi Nakamoto has actually planted the halving process in this Bitcoin blockchain program on every 4-year cycle all the way until the year 2140. I repeat, all the way until 2140. Which means we have got another years to see Bitcoin prices going through numerous of boom-bust cycle. Well, if you think today we have got a good topic and we have greatly shared the expectation and prediction of Bitcoin prices on price versus time, please drop us comments, tell us what you think, or maybe if you think that Bitcoin is going to reach $1 million. Don't be shy, write down at the bottom. Okay, give us some comments, like us, and continue to share this podcast out because we want more people to have a proper knowledge on Bitcoin, especially those who are skeptical, especially those who don't believe in it, or maybe some of you already have Bitcoin but do not know what to do with it. All right, so this is the DW World. Come back to us and we hope to give you more solid stuff in our next podcast.